Dear learners, today we shall be discussing about the role of religion in this session. There are a number of religions that are followed in India, and among them Hinduism is the world's oldest religion, and it has its roots and customs dating back to thousands of years. Today there are around 900 million followers, and majority of the world's Hindus live in and around the Indian subcontinent. This religion has no specific founder, and it is very difficult to trace its origin and history. Hinduism is unique because it is a compilation of number of philosophies and traditions, and is also a part of the way of life of people living in India. The objective of this session are basically to analyze the importance of various practices of Hinduism with reference to 4 stages of life, to understand the role of the spiritual activities undertaken, to highlight the importance of pilgrimage, and to study the important historical text associated with Hinduism. Let me take you to the Hinduism belief system. Hinduism belief system is referred to as a way of life, or it's a family of religion as opposed to a single organized religion. Most forms of Hinduism are focused on the worship of a single deity known as Brahma, but they also recognize other gods and goddesses. Followers believe that there are multiple paths to reach the god. Hindus believe in the doctrine of sanskara, that is focused on the continuous cycle of life and death and reincarnation, and karma, the universal law of cause and effect. I will be discussing this in detail in the later part of the session. The second important thought of Hinduism is Atma, or belief in soul. This philosophy holds that living creatures have a soul, and they are all part of the supreme God or the supreme soul. The goal is to achieve moksha or salvation, which ends the cycle of rebirth, and the person becomes part of the absolute soul. This whole process is determined by the current life of an individual and the future actions undertaken by him. The next most important part of Hindu philosophy is Hindus try to achieve dharma, that is, they follow a code of conduct which emphasizes good life practices and moralities. Hindus respect all living creatures, and in the religion, cow is considered to be a sacred animal. Along with this, food is an important part of life of Hindus. Most of the Hindus don't eat beef or pork, and preferably they are vegetarian in nature. Now let me take you to the basic belief system of Hinduism, which is focused on the concept of reincarnation of soul and rebirth after death. Hindus believe that the condition of one's present life are due to the karma or accumulated good or bad behavior in past lives. So one must improve one's condition through good behavior and create conditions so that they are able to contribute towards the society. In this such practices, the soul will achieve moksha and salvation, and the cycle of rebirth will stop. The next important facet of Hinduism is karma, along with that reincarnation and the concept of dharma, which are also considered to be the 4 facets of Hinduism. These are basically drawn from the Vedas and the various Upanishads, who are integral part of the Hindu philosophical system. Now let me take you to the first aspect, that is karma. Karma literally means deed or act, and more broadly it refers to the universal principle of cause, effect, action and reaction which govern all human life. Karma is a natural law of mind, just as gravity is a law of matter. Karma is not fate. For example, a person is free to act according to his free will, creating his own destiny. The Vedas tell us that if we sow goodness, we will reap goodness. If we sow evil, we will reap evil. Therefore, karma refers to the totality of our actions and their reactions in this and previous lives, which are determined by our overall activity. It is the interplay between our experiences and how do we respond to make our karmas good and helpful for others. So, for example, if you are involved in charity work, you are helping poor people, you are educating masses, then it is a good karma, so it will come back to you in an unexpected way. The second part of Hindu philosophy is reincarnation, which is also known as in Hindi Punarjanam. It is a process of birth, death and rebirth. According to Hindu philosophy, at the time of death, we drop off the physical body, but we again enter into the cycle of birth through the basis of our karmas. Through the ages, reincarnation has been accepted, and it's an important integral part of the philosophy, and it eliminates the fear of death among others. The next important concept of Hinduism is the all-pervasive divinity or the presence of God. As a family of faith, Hinduism upholds a number of perspectives on the divine, but all worship the supreme being hailed in the Upanishads. As an absolute reality, God is unmanifested, unchanging and timeless, formless and spaceless. As pure consciousness, God is the manifest prime substance, it's pure divine love and light flowing through all life forms, everywhere in time and space. So, the concept is an important part of Hinduism. God is our personal Lord. He is the source of all the energy. He is our mother, father. He protects us and guides us in every action. So, this is again an important belief system of Hindus. I am sure you must have heard about the word dharma. So, what is dharma? When God created the universe, He endowed it with order. He had certain laws to govern the entire creation. So, dharma is God's divine law prevailing on every level of existence, from the cosmic order to the religious order to the social and the moral order, which bind us in harmony with the overall system. Related to the soul, dharma is the code of conduct, and it is important for spiritual advancement, and we must follow a right path in this. The next important concept of Hinduism is the classification on the basis of Varna system. In ancient Hindu system, the people were classified into 4 classes according to their mental inclination, their abilities and their birth in the family. The important prominent divisions were first the Brahmanas, which were predominantly sattvic in nature. They were naturally inclined towards attaining self-realization and helping others doing good things. It comprises of saints, sages, yogis and all those who strongly adhere to dharma. So, in the ancient texts you will find lot of activities, spiritual activities being organized by Brahmins. Then we had the Kshatriyas, which are predominantly warriors. They are naturally inclined towards action. They comprise of kings, soldiers. Today context we can talk about people who are serving in the army. Then we have the Vaishyas or the traders, whose focus was mainly on attaining wealth through business. It comprises of merchants and businessmen. And in the last we had the subdivision of Shudras, who were considered to be people who are helping us in maintaining our day-to-day activity. This was the old division which is mentioned in various texts of Hindu religion. Some of its aspects are still not applicable in the Indian context. Along with this, the Hindus also believe in the 4 ashramas or 4 stages of life. For example, as a student, you are in the stage of brahmacharya. It's the early stage of life which is spent in learning the various aspects of life and spirituality. From the age of 25 to 50, a person is in the grahastha stage. He is a householder, he earns his livelihood, takes care of his children and parents, and the materialistic life is very important for him. In the third stage is the vanaprastha stage, which is known as a retirement stage, where a person transfers his responsibilities to the younger generation and advise them. And in the last stage, that is after 75 years of age, an individual is supposed to renunciate or enter into the stage of sannyasa. In this, they have to renounce all worldly attachment and move to a quiet place to practice spirituality till death. So, these 4 systems of life and 4 varnas are very important in the day-to-day life of Hindus. Now, I'll take you to the important holy sacred texts of Hindus. There are a number of sacred writings that are opposed. There is no single holy book, but the primary sacred texts are known as Vedas, which were composed around 1500 BC. It's a collection of verses and hymns written in Sanskrit and contains revelations received by ancient sages and saints. The prominent Vedas are the Rig Veda, the Sam Veda, Yajur Veda and Athar Veda. These Vedas deal with the various aspects of life. Hindus believe that Vedas are transit all the time and they don't have a beginning or an end. Along with Vedas, other books are the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, 18 Puranas, Ramayana and Mahabharata were also considered as an important text in Hinduism. So, in this lesson what we have learned is that Hindus believe in certain way of life, they have certain basic practices and also they have certain texts. Now, let me take you to the various gods and goddesses. As I shared with you, Brahma is the supreme god, but the other deities along with Brahma which are helpful in helping us in the day-to-day life is the Lord Vishnu. He is considered to be the Lord that preserves and protects the universe. Then I am sure you must have heard about Lord Shiva, who is considered to be the destroyer as well as he recreates the universe. Then we have Lord Bhagavati or Devi, which is symbolized as a goddess to fight to restore dharma. You must have also heard about Lord Krishna. He is a god of compassion, tenderness and love. Goddess Lakshmi represents wealth and purity, and Goddess Saraswati is representative of learning. So, there are numerous gods and goddesses, and I am sure you must have seen so many temples of these goddesses around in your area. The Hindus believe that God and divinity can take any forms, but the universal spirit remains the same. So, we call this as a trinity: Brahma, the creator of the universe, Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, and Shiva, the destroyer of the universe. So, in most of the Hindu temples, you find all these activities. The next important aspect of Hindu life is role of fire. It is apparent in Rig Veda and later Vedic writings that fire sacrifice in the form of Agni was very important. Worship of God was mostly through fire rituals. Any offering that was to be given to the god was placed in the fire and Agni would transport them to other gods. These rituals are also even popular today, and you might find people organizing yagnas and havans to offer their devotion to God. The importance of fire is evident. Offerings are conveyed to God, and it's important that for various purposes different types of yagnas are performed. Agni is mentioned in Vedic hymns, and also Agni is not considered to be a specific god, but it's very popular and it is very significant in Hindu philosophy. His importance lies that he represents fire, which has a great value in human life. The importance of Agni comes through association with fire, and it plays a vital role in connecting the Hindus to their deities by conveying offering. He also assists Hindus even after life, because Agni could be seen in assisting physical matters by providing day-to-day activities, providing emotional and spiritual connections, and since it's considered to be the god of fire, he has control over Hindu life cycle. We all know that fire supplies life, cooking food, it supplies heat, and also at the end of Hindu life they are consumed by flames in the funeral, sending them to the afterlife. So, as a result of it, most of the Hindu temples and Hindu organizations believe in the concept of Havan or Yagna and worship Agni. Some of you must have definitely visited temple which is also known as a Hindu place of worship. The Hindu worship system is known as puja, which takes place in a place called mandir. Followers of Hinduism can visit mandir as per their choice. Hindus also worship at home, and they have a special shrine dedicated to certain gods and goddesses. The giving of offering is an important part of Hindu worship. It is common to present gifts, flowers or food stuff to gods and goddesses. Additionally, many Hindus also take pilgrimage to temples and other sacred sites in India. Hinduism is also divided into various groups or sects which are an integral part of the Hindu worship. We have the followers of Lord Shiva known as Shaivas, followers of Vishnu are known as Vaishnavas, followers of Shakti or goddess Durga known as Shaktism, and then we have the followers of other saints and people who have preached over a period of time, which are further known as Sampradaya. Some believe that deities are the manifestation of the Trinity, and then they have their own experiences associated with it. The Hindu epics are written with a moral code of conduct. They are written in Sanskrit, and the essence describe the power of Hindu gods in poetic verses. The popular poetic verses are Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana is a magnificent narration of the story of Rama. It focuses on the life of Rama from his birth in Ayodhya to his decisive victory over evil Ravana. The epic speaks volume on the virtue of true brotherhood, love and nature of sacrifice one has to make to defeat the evil. As far as Mahabharata is concerned, it's the longest epic ever written, and it gives an in-depth sight into the rise of Hinduism between 400 BC and 200 AD. Its entire narration is very long, and it has number of small stories which focus on the fights between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, the evil and the good. It also details an account of the various verses of Bhagavad Gita, and it also describes the great battle that was held at Kurukshetra. Bhagavad Gita is also very popular nowadays, and you find a lot of preachers which tell us about the way of life through Bhagavad Gita. The other texts, as I shared with you, are the Vedas, which were composed in Sanskrit. The Rig Veda was the first Veda. The Sam Veda, Yajur Veda and Athar Veda are still prevalent today, and many scholars go ahead and do research work in that, along with the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. The path of salvation is known as Marg, and according to the text, there are 4 margs. The first one is the Karma Marg, that is, you do selfless service, perform social obligations. Then we have the Jana Marg, where we study and understand the intellectual understanding of our identity with Brahma. Bhakti Marg is related to devotion. It is related to singing, chanting in the name of God. And last is the Dhyana Marga, which is related with Bhagavad Gita, the use of meditation to gain insight into the absolute soul that resides within oneself. So, in this session we have now understood that there are multiple sects, there are a number of theologies and belief systems in Hinduism, and there is no single book of doctrine. It is an inclusive religious group which has lot of diversity. After studying the basic concept of Hinduism, let me take you to the concept of festivals in this system. I am sure you must have celebrated Diwali, you must have celebrated New Year, Holi, which is a festival of color, and so many other festivals throughout the day. In this festival activity, worship is an important activity. Whether you are doing a worship on a Dashera or a Holi or during Durga Puja, the concept is first the ritual worship, where we worship the Murti. Then we also are involved in bhajan activities, which refers to devotional singing in a mandir or at home. The third aspect of Hindu philosophy is seva, where we do selfless service for the society, and the last one is the yajna or the sacrifice, which is important. So, the Hindus believe that for worship, morning hours are most peaceful and conducive. for prayer and meditation. So you must have seen that most of the Hindu temples, the worship starts somewhere in the early mornings around 4:30. People tend to get up much early. The worship encompasses a wide range of activities. It even involves devotional singing, dance, and we shall focus on certain practices which are very important in this as a part of act of worship. The Hindu worship displays a number of distinct features. First, the presence of divine is perceived in diverse ways. That's why you find so many idols of gods and goddesses in one of the temples. The worship is performed individually. Sometimes it is collective, but each individual is free to perform its own worship. Communal worship also plays a very central role. Worship takes place both inside the temple and at home also. And there is no specific days for worship. Each day is auspicious. Each day is associated with a particular deity. For example, Shiva is honored on Monday and Hanuman is honored on Tuesday. The time of the day is important. Generally in the early mornings and late evenings are considered auspicious for worship, and they are also influenced by the quality of the god and the gunas associated. In India, many temples begin their public ceremony between 4 to 6 in the morning, and various ceremonies took place during each year. Each worship is particularly popular. Now, an important aspect which is very important from the tourism aspect is the concept of pilgrimage, which is known as Tirth Yatra. Hindu pilgrimages are very popular and they are even practiced in modern times. The Tirth Yatra means journey. As you know, Yatra is journey and crossing a place is known as a Tirth. Now, let us understand what is a Tirth. A Tirth is basically a place which one can cross over to establish contact with sacred forces which are not encountered in day-to-day life. The most important meaning of Tirtha is a pilgrimage place or a holy place. So, we have lots of Tirthas in India which are either associated with a saintly person, with a god or goddesses, or it's mentioned in the Puranas and Vedas. Hindus are fond of various types of Tirth Yatras. They not only worship nature objects such as mountains or rivers, but they also visit temples as a part of their journey. This implies that there is a huge aspect of tourism associated with it, because when they go to the Tirth Yatra, they perform certain rituals also which help them in their transformational process. The Puranas and Mahabharatas have also recommended pilgrimage to be practiced and also ascribe the religious merit of pilgrimage, equating it to various sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Now, I will take you to the important pilgrimage centers of India. The first and the foremost, I am sure you must have heard about Banaras, which is also known as Varanasi. This place is closely associated with Lord Shiva. It's famous because it's situated on the banks of Ganges. It's also known as Kashi, and it is one of the oldest cities in the world and is also included in the list of 7 sacred ancient cities of India. Kashi is mentioned in epics and Puranas as the foremost city of Shiva. It is famous for its temple of Shiva, which was rebuilt number of times. Hindus visit Varanasi in the hope of achieving liberation. This city is famous among foreign travelers for its cremation grounds, and it's the wish of many of Hindus to die in this city, as they feel that they will benefit from the death in this city. The next popular city among tourists is Mathura and Vrindavan, which is in the state of Uttar Pradesh. The town of Vrindavan is very dear to our Radha Krishna. This is one of the 7 principal and historical temples. There are a number of small temples in India. The food of this place is very famous. It's famous as a place of Krishna's birth, and it dates back to thousands of years old. We have number of temples, and lot of foreign tourists visit this place along with various shrines associated. we have a sacred place called Vrij. In the Vrij circuit, we have number of small villages which are associated with Lord Krishna and Radha. The next important aspect of Hindu pilgrimage is Kanyakumari, which is associated with the goddess Parvati. It is situated on the southernmost tip of India. Parvati is considered to be eternal consort of Shiva. Situated at the Bay of Bengal, where the Arabian and the Indian Ocean meet, many pilgrims go there to take bath. We find lot of tourism in this place. It's a very good place for celebrations, for meditation and for discovering oneself. Lot of various activities and events are organized. The next important place is in Orissa, which is also known as Puri. Puri represents a place where worshippers of Lord Vishnu, Shiva and Shakti meet. It's one of the Char Dhams of Shankaracharya. Members of the community follow the various teachings of Shankaracharya. The temple is an ancient temple and it has number of deities. This place is again considered to be very holy in India, and we have the famous Jagannath Puri Yath Yatra that is conducted every year at Puri. This event also attracts number of tourists on the eastern coast of India. This city is very old and the people believe in various traditions and continue these traditions in the name of the Lord Jagannath, who is considered to be the Lord of the universe, and throughout the day there is lot of activities and festivities in this particular place. The replica of Rath Yatra is also celebrated annually throughout the world. The other special places associated with Hindus are the rivers. Hindus worship water bodies and lakes, hills and mountains, and sites associated with particular deities or saints, various shrines, and we have the temples which are connected with different gods. There are different types of temples. For example, in northern India we have the structure is different and compared to that of southern India. Let me now take you to more aspects which are considered to be sacred for Tirth Yatra. For example, places near the rivers, we have prominent rivers, lakes and oceans which are worshipped by Hindus. We have river Ganges, we have river Saraswati, river Narmada. All they have an important role to play in the various religious texts. The various Kumbh Melas, I am sure you must have heard about it, are organized on the banks of various rivers, and they are very prominent in day-to-day activity, and their water is used for various purposes associated with rituals. Bathing is also significant in these rivers, and every month there are some special days on which people visit the river banks to purify their sins and to elevate themselves. Along with that, there are certain yatras such as the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, the Amarnath Yatra, Vaishno Devi Yatra. Different yatras also help an individual to elevate oneself and to move ahead in the path of spirituality. Hindus also worship plants and animals. For example, they worship people, they worship Tulsi, they worship Neem. The purpose of all these worship practices are basically to conserve the environment. If you see the images of Hindu gods and goddesses, you will find number of animals such as lion, snake, mouse. All these are also associated with natural aspects related to Hindu philosophy. So what we have studied in the session today is that Hinduism is a vast religion. It is very difficult to summarize all aspects of Hinduism in a short session like this. The basic objective or the philosophy of this religion is do good to the mankind, help people, worship daily, use practices, follow moral code of conduct, and visit tourism places which are in the form of temples, sacred shrines or riversides. Spiritual tourism is growing in India every day. The government has come up with various circuits associated with the promotion of religious tourism. Various integrated schemes and plans are being launched to help people move ahead, go and explore these places, minimize pollution and experience the real rich benefit of Indian heritage. So, if we analyze the various activities and the practices followed by Hindus, they focus on creating a special atmosphere, they joyfully focus on spiritual matters, they involve the community in their day-to-day activities and create an environment which fill them with lot of festivity. So, I hope you must have heard about so many Hindu festivals. We have the Ganesh Utsav in Maharashtra, we have Durga Puja in West Bengal, we celebrate Navratri in Gujarat. All these festivals help us to improve our spiritual levels and also to integrate with the community. During these festivals, people do a lot of fasting. They distribute food to the poor people in the form of prasad, and also they give charity to the different sections of the society and also to saints in temples. Visiting the temple, visiting relatives, glorification of the God through kirtan, bhajan and story are an integral part of all these activities. This improves the overall social atmosphere, creates harmony, goodwill among people and helps in the promotion of a family unity, which is important in the day-to-day life. So, in the end, I would like to share with you that it is essential that we must understand the various concepts of spirituality, the belief systems that are practiced by Hindus in the day-to-day life. This will help us in managing the travelers from the globe, especially the NRI travelers who have never visited India and they wish to come to India for a Char Dham Yatra or for a spiritual retreat in the state of Uttarakhand or parts of Himalayas. With this note, I thank you and I hope that you will be doing well in your tourism studies by understanding the basic concept of Hinduism.